Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 112 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, the transfer portal giveth, the transfer portal taketh away. As of 6:49 p.m., both Texas and Oklahoma are still awaiting news on Dominic Williams out of TCU. Nobody seems to have a grasp on where this guy is going. It's down to OU, Texas, LSU, Missouri. The frightening thing is that for both Oklahoma and Texas, they're going to have to see this kid again. And nobody wants to see this kid on the other side of your offensive line there. So all eyes are waiting with bated breath. In the meantime, Oklahoma experiencing a very odd late entry to the portal in one Gavin Freeman. Gavin Freeman was out of Heritage Hall, I believe. He was a preferred walk-on his freshman year. He scored a touchdown on his first play of his freshman year on an end around. Received a scholarship to much acclaim. Got derided most of last year for being on the receiving end of Jeff Lebby's jet sweeps. Was also the primary punt returner, which OU fan never felt quite comfortable with him back there, especially after a couple muff punts that he had. And he has now entered the portal. It's a little bit unsettling to see this kid in the portal. I'm not sure why Sooner born, Sooner bred, expected him to stay there. But I had my thoughts about Gavin Freeman all year. I liked the story, but I wanted to see the athletes that we had in the stable, i.e. Petaway, guys like that. I wanted to see other dudes versus Brennan Thompson versus Gavin Freeman. Jaden Gibson. There was a lot of receivers that I wanted to see. And I'll tell you what, from a punt returning situation, I would rather see Billy Bowman, Peyton Bowen. Now we've got Deion Burks. I don't know if he's going to be returning punts, but if he did, I bet he's electric. So there's, to me, it sucks. The storyline sucks that he has to leave Oklahoma. But from an on-the-field product, I don't know that this makes a lot of difference.
No, I will completely agree, right? He's a guy who grew up dreaming of being a Sooner, got the chance to walk on, earned that scholarship, right? Scored on his first play.
I think he earned it, absolutely.
Anybody was like, oh, why are we wasting a scholarship? No, the kid came in, worked his tail off. He's undersized, got on the field as a true freshman, made some plays for you guys. But yeah, last year.
Had a punt return for a touchdown last year. Opened the year last year. Had a punt return for a touchdown. The kid can make some plays, sure.
Correct. There's some of the decision making though, right? You talked about the move. Sometime I felt like he took some punts back when he should have probably called for a fair catch, right?
Yeah.
Also, he does the jet sweeps. He wasn't really involved in much otherwise. I don't know what happened. I haven't spoke to the kid or even heard much about his reasoning. But you have to imagine at this point, Lebby's gone, right? Maybe he was Lebby's guy. New coaching staff in. New pay caller, maybe he's buried behind Deion Burks plays in the slot, right? That's where he would primarily be playing. So he's probably buried and just didn't see much of a path to the field on offense. And who knows, maybe he got replaced as a punt returner too.
Well, and I think he wants to play. And I think he suffered injuries. So I don't think he was, in fact, I know he wasn't available for much of the spring. Here's the thing. We're building the kind of depth at Oklahoma that Texas has now. We're building that kind of depth at Oklahoma that if you're hurt too long, i.e. Justin Harrington, Gavin Freeman, it's like, well, we're not holding the spot for you. And unfortunately, in this world of NIL and transfer portal, and that's just the nature of the sport. And you kind of have to be that way in order to be a successful program. But it was just kind of weird coming at the end of the portal, so far removed from the spring game. You feel like if something like that's going to happen, it's going to happen very near or after the spring game. So it was just kind of weird. Also, though, on the Texas front, though, Kevin, What?
Hold on, real quick, before we move
Go ahead.
on.
Okay.
You know, I imagine he was reluctant to leave, right? I mean, I'm sure he loves this place. This is where he's always wanted to be, right? But when you have the nerve to walk on to a football team like OU, when you already have other offers, you skip other offers, right? Didn't Texas Tech offer him?
Yes.
Right? When you choose to walk on at OU over Texas Tech, that means you really believe in yourself, right? And the fact that he's made some plays at OU, he scored touchdowns for OU. He believes in his ability. And I think he's like, I'm going to go somewhere where I can play. I don't want to just be on OU's team just to be on OU's team. I want to be on the field. I know I'm good enough to be on the field somewhere. So, but he loves this place. So that probably would explain the delay and making this final decision to leave because he loves OU.
There has been an undercurrent of rumor that says potentially he was processed out by the coaching staff. Based on your analysis just now, do you believe that, or do you believe more along the lines of too many people in the stable, he can read the writing on the wall, dude wants to be on the field, wants to play, wants to make an impact, and this was solely his decision?
Honestly, I would lean more towards the latter. I think kids do get processed. It would just be hard for me to imagine him getting processed. I don't think he's that buried.
Yeah.
But you never know. You
No.
never know. I just feel like you have so many other good receivers, right? But I don't know. It would just be hard for me to believe that he would be someone that would get processed this year.
Between at wide receiver, both on the edge and in the slot, it could be our deepest position group. It's definitely our deepest position group on the offensive side of the ball. Outside of maybe linebacker, where I think we're very deep with some real talent.
Probably your best position, top to bottom.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, you think linebacker more than receiver?
Well, yeah, just because. Reason being is just because that's Venable's thing.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have good linebacker play. So even if you don't have super depth, the quality is going to be there.
Agreed. Well, I think we have
Venable's thing.
I think we have both the depth and the quality though right now.
Yeah.
We talked about we think Kip. I always get Lewis and McKenzie mixed up, but we think it's going to be Lewis. I think it's going to be Lewis and
Stutzman.
I think it's going to be. That's who I think. That's right. And then you're backing him up with Kobe McKenzie and Kanik, who both saw a lot of time. Who, if Stutzman had left and Lewis had left or transferred out, and you said, okay, your starters are Kanik and McKenzie, you wouldn't be freaking out as an OU fan. You'd be like,
okay, cool.
I would rather have those other two, but not the margin that you would normally expect to freak out about. So, but anyway, back to receiver. Yeah, I mean, dude, it could just be as simple as Deion Burks is taking all those reps at the slot. Yeah. It could be that simple.
Yeah. And again, we're talking about the Brown scheme. The slot fade is much more important to the offense, to what Gavin Freeman would bring to it with the swing passes and jet sweeps. Right. Well, the ability to run the slot fade is more important. So, I think he just found himself buried. You still have Andrew Anthony coming back, and then you have Pettaway. You know what I mean? And listen, Pettaway, you guys are so deep. Pettaway might not even play a ton.
Nick Anderson, Jaden Gibson.
Correct.
Yeah. Farouk is still there. Yeah. Who's had ups and downs, but he's still there.
Farouk can play inside in the slot also. So I think he just found himself buried, man, just behind players that are more talented. It's just the nature of the beast at a big time program.
And you think he got beat out as punt returner? Surely, right?
Maybe. I didn't see any. I don't know if you guys did punt returns at all in your spring game. I didn't watch.
I don't think we did return.
Y'all was on the same time as Texas. I watched several highlights, but none of them. I didn't even see anybody fielding punts. So I don't know if he got beat out on the punt return too. Then it's hard to see a clear path to the field. He can go make plays elsewhere.
Peyton Bowen would be electric to me. Put Peyton Bowen back there. Because here's the deal with Peyton Bowen is I'm not sure he sees the field as a full-time player in the secondary, right? I mean, you've got Robert Spears Jennings and Billy Bowman and Kendall Dolby. And I mean, there's some guys and I love Peyton Bowen. He was a ball hawk last year. I just say we got to figure out a way to get the guy on the field. It might be in the role of punt returner. It's just
I don't
It's an
see how he
interesting
doesn't start for you, man. He's too talented, man.
dude.
Because here's the thing: I know you have depth, but if he doesn't start, that means you're going to have him for next year as 1 year starter. He's gone. He's gone. He's too
I
talented.
don't think he's projected to start. I don't. I think they're
Wow.
going with Spears Jennings.
Okay.
But I agree with you. 100% agree that Bowen should be on the field somewhere. Like
Yeah.
I think he's a dynamic player, and when he
When
was
you
on,
force a
good things
fumble
happen.
in the Red River Shootout as a true freshman, man, you're on to something here.
Oh, 100%.
You know,
Speaking of forcing a fumble against the University of Texas, the Texas Longhorns also with an odd portal entry. Kendrick Blockshire, linebacker, Blackshire.
Black.
Blackshire, linebacker who y'all had to be fired up about as a transfer from Alabama, has now entered the portal without playing a down for the Longhorns. What the heck happened?
I just would imagine I didn't hear a lot about him during the spring. I'll leave it at that. I didn't hear much about him making any sort of real impact. I mean, he was a rotational player at
Remind
best.
me
I think he had
who your linebackers are going to be.
Anthony Hill and David Bender. Because we only play with two. Everybody plays with two.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he was at on the depth chart. I don't know if he just got there and maybe he just didn't like the way the program was run compared to Alabama, which I would understand. Nick Saban does things a certain type of way, even though Sark is a Saban disciple. It's different, right? It's an adjustment. So who knows? Maybe he wants to be somewhere. This is last year, right? I think perhaps he just wants to be somewhere he can start. He knows he can just start and play, and he wants to put some film out there and try to go to the NFL. And it just didn't seem like Texas was going to be that place for him.
The thing for a kid like this to keep in mind is in the second portal window, which is what's closing soon. If somebody transfers within the SEC, they can't sign. If they're in an SEC school, they can't sign with another SEC school in the second window, correct?
You can sign, but you can't play. You can't play this year. You have to sit out the season.
Now, can you sign after the first window?
Yeah, with the first window, you can sign with an SEC school. We've seen that. That's how Texas got Isaiah Bond and Amari Niblack. Yeah, and him. Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now in this window, he'll have to go to a non-SEC school.
Yeah. So that's it's weird. Now you've had some other portal, like we've had some portal. We had Oklahoma had Justin Harrington in the portal. Shane Witter was in the portal. I feel like I'm forgetting one. I think I've talked about it in the last podcast.
Right?
Yeah, but nobody that we're like freaked out about, right? Even Gavin Freeman, no one's freaking out about. It's just more of a storyline. But you guys, at least the way it's being portrayed in the Oklahoma media, has lost some not key components, but maybe slightly players that were pushing for playing time in the secondary.
Guys that have played.
Specifically in the secondary, right?
And that's right. Two guys, Austin Jordan, nickel out of Denton Ryan. He plays corner too. And then Terrence Brooks. That's the one that was a little bit concerning, or at least confusing, because he started a lot for us last year. So he has a lot of ability. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. He struggled quite a bit in coverage at times. He showed some pretty decent ability, but he did struggle in coverage. Got beat on some deep shots. I don't know. From what I heard, from what I've read, it just seems like the kid just needed a fresh start, and the coaches were okay with him going somewhere and getting that fresh start. So maybe at the end, he wasn't a good fit with the DB coaches. I hope he does well because he's got a lot of talent, man. I don't know where he's going to end up. I don't know who's in the running for him right now, but he has got a lot of ability. I hope he goes somewhere where his talent can get unlocked, because it just wasn't happening so far at Texas.
Yeah. What's that do to your depth, and does it give you any pause in terms of how you expect kind of the defense to perform?
It depends on, what happens with the rest of the portal window, right? I know they got a kid they were really hoping to get another kid from Arizona, Tacario Davis, big 6'3" corner. but he actually decided to withdraw his name from the portal. He's going to stay at Arizona. There's a kid, and I don't have his name, but from San Jose State. Apparently, he's a talented player. He's in the portal, and he's visiting. So we'll see what happens there. We do have talent. We have a lot of young talent, but we're losing experience depth, right? Guys who have been on campus for 2 years, and Austin Jordan and Terrence Brooks. So that's the concerning part, is you lose guys who have played in games, in big games for you.
So I had my little opening intro there where I talked about Dominic Williams. Where do you kind of think, where do you fall in Texas's likelihood of picking up a Dominic Williams? And
it's interesting.
I guess handicap the race for me.
It's hard to mention, right? I from what I hear from every, I've seen little updates from each site, right? From Texas, from LSU, from OU, from Missouri, and it seems to be everybody is saying it's us against Texas, LSU against Texas, it's Missouri against Texas. But that leads me to believe that we have a good chance, but we're talking about kids here. He has been pretty public that NIL is going to play a big factor in that. We know how Missouri gets down with the NIL now, right? And Texas does too, but it's just really hard to tell, man. I don't know when. Do you know when he's going to decide? Have you heard?
Well, today we're recording to this on Wednesday, May 1st. The original plan was to have an announcement by today. It's now been pushed to Thursday, May 2nd. But I don't know that he necessarily has a timeline for it. It's his own timeline. I'm sure you saw the news where Oklahoma offered his little brother.
I did. Good move, by the way.
I think so. Move. I mean, it's no risk. It's no risk. Do, man. Class of 26.
Okay. So
I think.
All right. Yeah. So going into his junior year.
I think he's class of 26. So there's no chance they play together. I don't think there's any chance they play together, but dude, Dominic was on Twitter with a video and everybody was excited. And he's like, my little bro got his first offer and it's to Oklahoma. And
smart move.
We've
talked about this. We've talked about this before, right? And I'll mention it to those who haven't heard. We talked about Keenan Allen, right? Wide receiver now with the Chicago Bears, has had an amazing career. He was in high school. He was committed to Alabama under Nick Saban. He had a younger brother, Zach Maynard, who was a quarterback. He was hoping that Alabama would offer Zach Maynard, his brother. Alabama didn't do it. Cal says, hey, we'll offer Zach. They offer Zach. Keenan Allen goes to Cal. That's how they got him, because they offered his brother, and Alabama didn't.
Isn't that crazy?
He had a great career there, and he's been one of the best receivers in the NFL the last decade.
I haven't seen. Has anybody else followed suit with that? Has Texas or LSU or Missouri? Yeah, me either. So I don't know. Maybe it's. Listen, if the kid's related to Dominic Williams, I'm sure he probably is worthy.
Listen, you never know, right? But we offered Deontay Foreman so we can get his brother Armani.
Are you serious?
The reason why? Yes, we wanted Armonte Foreman, like everybody in the country did. And we were the only ones who were willing to offer his twin brother, Deontay, his 2-star brother. And of course, they get to college and Deontay ends up being the superior player.
2,000-yard rusher. Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. And and Armani was a solid player, but Deontay's still in the NFL.
Well, we got two brothers right now with Peyton Bowen and Eli Bowen, and I'm sure that had something to do with it too. So anyway, that's where we're at with Dominic Williams. That's where we're at with Texas. It's here's the deal with football, dude. It never stops. Just when I'm preparing for this show earlier today, I'm thinking, well, what are we talking about? And then you get hit with Gavin Freeman, Blockshire. You still don't know what's going on with Dominic Williams. You've just got all these things going on.
It never ends, man.
And it's May 1st. It's May 1st. It's like spring football's been over for 2 weeks. But it's fantastic. However, when it's not football season, sometimes we talk about basketball, and we haven't talked a lot about basketball, Oklahoma basketball. Largely, they weren't in the tournament. I expressed my disappointment on the podcast then. talked about how this is probably Porter's last year if he can't make the tournament. A minimum expectation is making the tournament. I might have mentioned the transfer portal woes, but as of last count, he had lost 4 starters: Milo Uzan, Javion McCollum, John Hughley, Otega Owe. Uzan to Houston, McCollum to Georgia Tech, Hughley to Xavier, Owe to Kentucky. He also has missed out on Sean Padula, who has Oklahoma ties. He was at Virginia Tech and he went to Ole Miss. Aaron Scott, who was at North Texas and went to St. John's. Kevin Overton, who was at Drake and went to Texas Tech. He has added 3 players, but nobody that really just jumps off the map at you. Brian Goodline, Jaden Jones, Kobe Elvis. But as of this afternoon, he lost another player to the portal, Kevin. Caden Cooper did not see a lot of playing time last year, but in the 2023 class, he was the number 60 overall player in the country. He's now entered the portal. Kevin, can a college coach lose his job strictly based on his portal management?
Well, I mean, I feel like managing the roster is part of your job, right? It's a huge part of it. And based on what you're telling me, it doesn't look like he's done the best at that. We talked about this towards the end of the season. It's not the best at it.
It's terrible, Kevin. I don't want to mean to interrupt you, but I just got to get something on my chest. Basketball is forever changed. College basketball is not the same. Okay? Whatever that magic number was, transfer portal, whatever. But let's say 2015, 2016, 17. Since then, it's different. Portal, NIL, constant moving and going, having to re-recruit the players, all of that. That's great. Maybe it's good for some players, maybe it's been good for some teams, whatever. It's just different. It is different, and so that's fine. You can't lose 4 starters that didn't graduate. You can't do that. And that's before, after losing those 4 starters, you then lose the cornerstone of your recruiting class a year prior.
Yes, that's rough.
I don't know what it sounds.
We talked about this, and I thought, after last season, it was the right time to make a move.
You did. I was willing to give him another year, but
it just didn't seem like it was a good fit.
I'm saying you might need to call it right now, dude. You might need to call it right now. This is terrible. Listen, let me put it in perspective for you. Oklahoma basketball, girls basketball, just went up against UConn to win one of the number 1 players in the portal, Reagan Beers, out of Oregon State. She went up against UConn.
Freaking UConn.
With Gino Oriyama and is able to pull that player there. You can't tell me you can't pull players to Oklahoma. But more to the point, you can't tell me you can't keep players at Oklahoma. This is the land of Buddy Hield and Blake Griffin and Trae Young, and there's been plenty of dudes that will play basketball here at the University of Oklahoma. Plenty of guys. You can go point at what's his name, the White Mamba. Talk about Austin Reeves playing at Oklahoma for as long as he did. Come on, man. We're not. Yeah. This is not the bottom of a barrel program. And I got to tell you, you lose this guy, to me, it's like this is the straw. For me, this is the straw that breaks the back. And I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that Joe C can just sit back and go, well, let's see how next season works out. I'll tell you how it's going to work out. They're going to miss the tournament again. They're going to miss the tournament again, and I don't see how you can avoid it.
I don't think we're questioning about that Moser is a good basketball coach because we know he's a good basketball coach. But here's the thing. But
point of order. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that.
Okay, fair enough.
You want me to address it right now?
Okay, no, hold on.
Okay, put a pin in that.
Sometimes it's not a good fit. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. We had Shaka Smart. I think Shaka Smart is a great basketball coach.
Shaka Smart is a good basketball coach.
He wasn't a good fit at Texas. He just wasn't a good fit. It's fine. He goes to Marquette. He takes them to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8.
Yeah. And they were a good team.
It was a better fit.
Number 2 seed. Not just a fluke run. A number 2 seed that gets to the Elite 8. Right?
Yes.
That's a very key point. Because teams can make fluky runs.
Yes.
I.e.
No fluke about a 2 seed. It's not
Loyola, Chicago. They can make fluky runs. There's nothing fluky about a 2 seed making it to the Elite 8. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yes, it was a better fit for him there in Marquette than it was for him in Texas. It's fine, right? So maybe it's a good coach, not a great fit for whatever reason. Cut your losses, move on.
Okay, let's just examine that just for a second. All right, this idea that he's a good coach. Kevin, did any of those players I just listed, Milos, Javion, John Hughley, Otega Owe, did any of them get better over the year?
I don't think so.
No, they did not. I can tell you that. They did not get better as the year progressed. In a lot of ways, they regressed. Milos Uzon and Javion McCollum regressed over the course of the season.
Completely agree, especially with those two.
Yeah. Now Jalen Moore got better.
Now he's going to the NBA draft, right?
No, I think he's actually staying as of right now. I think.
Really?
I don't want to jinx it. He might be the only one staying. And then who was the other? Rolando Soares. Rolando Soares got better. He got better. Became a starter last half of the of conference play. Okay. Listen, dude. Other than that, the team regressed. And then you look at like key moments in games, and I don't know that he made the right plays at the right time. His substitutions always seemed a little off to me. So no, I'm not willing to concede great coach, bad fit. I'm willing to say,
is it too big? Is OU too big? Is he built for a mid-major? And again, there's nothing wrong with that either.
I think it now. If you want to say that he's a good coach, I think that there could be an element of timing. I think if this is the fact that he takes over Oklahoma at the inception of NIL and has to figure out how to manage that, in addition to learning how to coach in the Big 12.
Yeah.
In addition to learning how to re-recruit his players every year, then it could be a timing issue. I guess that's possible.
Good resources at OU, though. A lot of support.
Dude, listen, man. People talk about, they want to say that NIL is broke at OU at basketball, and I don't know. Maybe it is. If that's what he wants to blame it on, okay, whatever. I will say this. If I'm a donor to OU, okay, and I won't disclose whether I am or not, but if I'm a donor to OU, to one of their collectives, I can tell you I'm not giving it to the basketball program. I can't guarantee a player is going to be there next year. Why do I want to give money to represent my business if they're not going to be there next year? I'm giving it to football. I'm giving it to softball. I might be giving it to girls basketball now.
Women's basketball, baseball,
gymnastics. I mean, because those players, you see those athletes.
You see the results.
You see the results, and they maintain loyalty, and you see it. Basketball, it just doesn't exist. So I don't know. Is Texas? You're outside looking in, right? So I mean, you're here in Oklahoma, but even just hearing this story, it sounds crazy, right? Is Texas anyway experiencing this level of movement on their transfer portal?
No. Actually, no. We're getting more guys coming in than anything. So now, actually, I feel good about Ryan Terry. Now, listen, I'm not 100% sold on him as the head coach yet. I'm not out at all, but I'm not 100% sold.
You made the tournament, dude. You got to win. You got a first round win.
Yeah, and I'm happy for it. So, but I want to see how he continues to manage the roster. So far, so good. He's brought in a couple guys. So, I do feel better about Texas than you do feel about Oklahoma basketball right now.
Oh, well, I would hope so, because I feel like crap about Oklahoma basketball right now. Yeah. And if I have to hear one more time,
season, it's a lot of pressure on him coming into next season.
Dude, I'm saying he doesn't need a season. I'm saying I don't know what else you need to do. I have been a manager. I'm currently a manager in the position I'm in now at Brown O'Haver. Okay, I'm a manager. I deal with employees. I used to be a manager in larger organizations with larger organizations under me. If you look at one of your subordinates and they are losing, their turnover rates are far exceeding the national average of those positions, there's a problem with leadership.
Yeah.
These turnover rates are exceeding. Yes, I know there's a problem with NIL basketball. Yes, I know that people leave and don't leave and all this stuff. Dude, 4 starters, your number one recruit, you miss out on all those dudes. And if I have to hear one more freaking time, Kevin, that it's the Lloyd Noble Center's fault, I'm going to absolutely puke. Okay? Does gymnastics has the worst facilities for any top-level women's gymnastics in the country. Let that sink in. This is the absolute, despite losing in the national championship or whatever, this is the absolute pinnacle of women's gymnastics in the country, and they have the worst facilities for it and compete mind you, in the same Lloyd Noble Center that basketball does.
Yeah.
Does that coach have any problem recruiting the number one players or the number one athletes in her sport and
Doesn't
continuing to
seem
build?
like it. Doesn't seem like it at all.
It doesn't.
No
So
problem there.
I have been to games at University of Oklahoma for women's basketball. Okay, I have been to the games at University. They do not fill the arena. They just don't. Sometimes maybe against Texas, maybe against Baylor. For the most part, it is a darn near empty arena. And they just recruited one of the best recruits out of the portal and won against Gina Oriama at UConn in the Lloyd Noble Center. The Lloyd Noble Center argument is just, it's maddening to me. Would I want a new stadium? Sure, whatever. Oh, okay. If that's what we need to do now, great. But don't tell me we can't win because of the Lloyd Noble Center. Like, to me, that's just ludicrous. It just drives me up a wall. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, I've been in much worse basketball arenas than the Lloyd Noble Center.
Well, yeah, dude, listen, maybe look, plenty of people. The consensus is it needs to go. Okay, great. It doesn't affect gymnastics. It doesn't affect women's basketball recruiting. They've had two of the best years they've had since their final 4 years in the early 2000s. Things are rolling for basketball and women's basketball. Things are obviously rolling in gymnastics. Their facilities are lackluster. And shame on you, Oklahoma, for lackluster women's gymnastics facilities. They should be every bit as fancy as the Loves Field and anything the football team has. Those ladies are fantastic. But don't give it to me. They don't make excuses. And then we're sitting here and we're looking at this roster going, oh, he needs another year. Dude, he don't need another year. That's what I'm saying. On May 1st, I'm saying he doesn't need another year. And I can see it right here. Go get a freaking interim coach and somebody that can kind of hold the reins together in the program and start building it back, because this is not going to work. You think we're making a tournament with this roster? Dude, listen, I'm trying hard not to cuss. Now you got me cussing. I wasn't even fired up about this. And then I kind of just lost it. Okay, one last thing before we shift over to professional sports, because we're going to talk some professional sports here after the commercial break. But one last thing. Is Deion Sanders serious, bro? I know he's your boy. I've never been a Deion fan. We talked about this last fall. I was never rooting for Colorado. I thought it was always going to fail. I never had any faith in Prime. I thought he's bad for the game. You know where I stand on it, but yes, we know where you stand on it. Is he serious? Is he joking?
It's hard to tell. I'll be honest.
You think he's punking us all?
I really don't know. I love Deion Sanders, right? I thought he did a good job as a head coach as far as getting the most out of that team last year.
Yeah, they had nobody. Their offensive line and defensive line.
But man, they need the season to start. We need to see games, because they're talking a lot, and it's interesting, right? Because some of his tactics, I know, college sports are quickly becoming pro sports, right?
Sure.
We're seeing a huge roster turnover every season with the portal and stuff. So, I personally don't love seeing coaches talk about players that are leaving personally. You know what I mean? Same with Shedeur Sanders.
He doesn't need to be talking about dudes being mid. He just doesn't.
And I love Shedeur. He had the number one odds to be the number one pick in the draft, right? I love the kid's talent.
Would you take him over Quinn? Would you take him over Quinn? Same situation, not Colorado, but would you take Shedeur Sanders right now instead of Quinn Ewers as your quarterback at the University of Texas?
Man, based on his talent, I would.
Dude, I would. I'd give me Jackson Arnold all day long. Give me Jackson Arnold all day long. Dude, give me our backup over him, man. Come on, dude. What? You're
your backup?
4-8. Yeah, give me Hawkins.
He's not the reason that he was 4. Okay. You think he was the reason they were 4-8? They couldn't protect. Now, listen, there were sometimes he did some hero type stuff, held onto the ball too long. That offensive line was one of the worst that we've seen. It's one of the worst in college football. So I think he's talented. My only thing is, and I get that Coach Prime is his dad, but I just don't want to see my starting quarterback calling, former teammates mid on social media.
It's weak. It's weak is what it is.
Is a great player. I mean, I think he's still underrated. I think NFL scouts love his game, right? But again, I would like for him to be a better leader and not call players out on social media because there's just no need for it, man. If guys are gonna leave, if they're gonna leave and say that Coach Prime didn't treat him right, okay, and I get, it's interesting, right? Because there's a fine line between Coach Prime being his coach and being his dad. Sounds like he's defending his dad in this moment. So I guess that's kind of one of the rough things when you work for your dad.
Well, I think there's a lot of things weird about it. But yes, the dynamic of daddy ball, as they express it in youth sports, where the dad is the coach of the team, and if it's football, then that kid's the quarterback. If it's baseball, that kid plays first base. If it's soccer, the girl plays center mid. It's a real thing. It's a real phenomenon, and
Yeah.
it seems like you're just when they talk like this, it feels like daddy ball just being played out at a higher level.
Yeah. Now it's a little different because Shador is incredibly talented, right? But it's the off the field stuff where that's coming through.
Yeah,
That's where that's really coming through more than on the field. Because on the field, I mean, Shador Sanders is an absolute baller.
hey
He's an
Kevin, my
absolute
screen
baller.
is my screen is frozen. Can you pause the stream real? Okay. With all this talk about Dion, let's forget about the off the field stuff, which it will always be an issue with Dion. On the field, new Big 12, does Colorado win more than the 4 games they won last year in the reconstituted Big 12?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they do. I think the offensive line will be better. I don't see how it can be any worse than it was last year. I think they'll have a little bit more depth defensively too. I expect another big season from Shador Sanders. So yeah, another second year in the program. I think they'll win more than 4 this year.
I got to go back to this real quick because I went off on a rant and I don't even know what we were talking about, but I got to go back. You would take Shador over Quinn just based on what? This is Quinn's 3rd year. It took you to a college football playoff last
Give
year.
me 1 second here. Okay, now what was your question?
You would really take Shador over Quinn? We kind of got caught up talking about Dion, but I got to go back to this really quick. Shador over Quinn, you're 100% sure you're Shador over
No,
Quinn.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not because I love Quinn. But man, Shador's so talented, right? I love the way he throws a football, like his command of the offense. I like his ability to move around the pocket. He's tough. He'll sit in there. So I don't know if I take him over Quinn.
But
I'm a big fan of the kid.
you do think definitively he's drafted over Quinn though, barring injury, no injuries to either one. You think Shador will be drafted ahead of Quinn?
I think it'll be very close. It would if they it's. I think they'll be right next to each other and where they're selected as of right now, based on what we know right now.
Okay, so later when I go to post this on Twitter and say episode 112 has been released, and Kevin would rather have Shador Sanders than Quinn Ewers, is that an accurate statement?
I don't know, man. Here's why.
All right,
Here's
I
why.
won't post it. I won't post. Then we don't need the clickbait.
All right,
Go
man.
ahead.
No, we don't need clickbait. But here's the thing, man. What I like about Quinn is just know what you're gonna get, right? Like in Quinn's improvement, I don't think
And
it's
steady,
people.
steady,
Yeah, it has been. I
steady.
mean, we're talking about a guy. Look, the first year was rough, right?
Rough.
There were flashes of brilliance in the first year that he started, and there are also some moments like, oh my god, like, are we sure this kid was a 5-star? Right? There's just those moments you
Yeah.
get that with young quarterbacks. But this year, 70% completion percentage, right? In year 2, interceptions went down, touchdowns went up, command of the offense. Very, very comfortable with him out there. Very few mistakes, right? So I'm expecting year 3 to be even better. Just a
Okay.
natural, just with a talented player. So
Kevin likes Shador Sanders better than Quinn Ewers. Brown O'Haver is our sponsor. Here in Oklahoma, all kidding aside, there has been there was a rash of tornadoes last Saturday night, all up and down the state, specifically the I-35 corridor, south of Oklahoma City. Parts of Norman got hit. The town of Sulphur got demolished downtown. Parts of Ardmore, large portions of Marietta, Oklahoma. It's really pretty much, it's just terrible. Brown O'Haver's been on the scene since Monday, been working with clients since Monday. We're going to continue to be here. If you've been infected by the storms, you want to call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Even if you don't hire us, but you just want some advice, you just want to say, hey, am I doing the right thing? I'm in the right direction. I just want to make sure, listen, we will take the phone call and we will help you. That's what we want to be able to do as a resource. Should you hire us? Probably you should, because we get our clients 30 to 40% more, but we're not asking for that business right now. We want to make sure that we're seen as a resource, that you can trust us, be a trusted advisor. Give us a call. We'll just be happy to walk you through the process, tell you what we think you should do in the meantime, tell you when a good time might be to hire us or not. All that being said, thoughts and prayers go out to all the first responders, all the recovery, all the people that lost their homes. I say this all the time. It absolutely sucks. Brown O'Haver is here to help it suck a little less. Any questions about your insurance claim, or if you know somebody that needs some help, send them to Brown O'Haver, 405-735-5510. Also, for those of y'all on YouTube, Kevin, you can see this. This is called The Cut Shop. This is a new barbershop, Kevin, just opened within the last month, Mustang, Oklahoma. My man Kevin knows barbershops. Here's the deal. This is a white guy, Kevin. His name's Evan, and he's getting into the barbershop game, okay? He wants to create an environment that you typically feel at a barbershop. That's the vibe he's going for. Okay. And I'm telling you what, this guy can pull it off. This guy can pull it off. And so if you're looking for a new place to get your hair cut, you want to try a vibe out, it's Mustang Road and Reno there in Mustang, Oklahoma. I think it's the southeast corner. Check out The Cut Shop. Tell Evan that the Boomer Bevo Podcast sends you, and he's going to give you $2 off any service. How do you like that, Kevin?
Hey, well, shout out to you, guy. Well, how did you find this place?
How do I find everything? Soccer. My life revolves around soccer. This is a soccer dad. His daughter is legit. His daughter's a beast. He's way too hard on her. She has the best leg on the team, dude. I'm telling you, they talk about going from the 18, putting it in. Dude, she can do it from the 28. It doesn't bother her. It's like, and it's easy. She's like going to be one of those girls that plays on the football team, right? And it's just like unnecessary roughness. She's going to be that kid. And ain't nobody going to feel bad about hitting her because she'll hit him back. She's mean too. Okay. I love it. No, this kid's great. His kid's great. His family's great. His barbershop is going to be great. So The Cut Shop in Mustang. If anybody knows about barbershops, it's Kevin Miller. How often do you go to the barber? We've talked about this before.
I usually go like every 10 days or so.
That's amazing. I'm just saying, people with my complexion don't typically go that much to the barbershop.
Understood.
But I have a barbershop now and more. I don't think it's as cool as The Cut Shop, so I'm not going to throw the name out. It doesn't sound like it. But this is like going to be a vibe, dude. This is like a whole thing. It's an experience. It's immersive.
Exactly. That's so underrated, man. It's the experience.
Dude, you got to try it out. The Cut Shop. Kevin, your Thunder last episode last week, we had just come off of game 2 win by the Thunder. I asked you if it was going to be this competitive. You said, yeah, it's going to be competitive. It was not competitive.
Not at all.
After the Thunder figured out what they were doing, it went downhill quick for New Orleans. They never had a chance. They are going to be facing the winner of the Mavs and the Clippers. Game 5 is at 2 p.m. tonight. It's currently 2-2. Are the Thunder fans rooting more to play a specific team or more for the series to end in 6 so we don't get as rusty as we can get?
That's interesting, right? You have to look at Thunder's weakness, or at least the perceived weakness, is their lack of size, right, on the inside. And I think really Dallas will probably give you more trouble with that.
Yeah.
But with Gafford and Derek Lively inside, whereas the Clippers, they hurt you more on the perimeter and the wings with Kawhi, Paul George, and, of course, Harden. So I would think they'd want to play the Clippers if you're basing it off of that. But I'll be honest, I like the matchup for the Thunder with either one of those teams.
I do too. I think, for Dallas, it's Luka. Let's face it. As Luka goes, Dallas will go. I think Oklahoma has a good chance of matching up with Luka. If you told me Lou Dort was going to have to cover Luka with being backed up by Case and Wallace, I mean, look, Luka's going to get his points. He's a great – he's probably the MVP, right? Is it a good chance he's the MVP this year?
Honestly, I think it's either Jokic or SGA.
Well,
for
okay.
MVP.
But number three, he's in the
But yeah,
conversation.
it's a 3-person race for sure.
Yeah, it's
and
a 3-person.
Yeah,
And he's going to get his. But I don't know, man. I don't mind the Dort matchup with him. And yeah, those two big guys, but they're not the kind of big guys that just put fear into me like a Jokic does with.
No, it's more on the rebounding.
And they do not have the skill that Minnesota has. Like, I am so happy.
Minnesota's a different story.
They're a beast, dude, and you can see it how good they are. But you look at that 2-3 matchup, and you realize how pivotal it was that Oklahoma got the 1 seed. You're starting to see, go at the end of the season, there was some talk like, well, does it really matter where we finish? It's all about, dude, it has mattered greatly because now you're getting Mavs or Clippers. Well, guess what? Mavs and Clippers they don't hold the candles as Nuggets or the T-Wolves.
No,
those two teams are really, really, really good. I mean, look.
Yeah, and that Nuggets series against the Timberwolves is so fascinating, man.
Oh, it's so good, right? Yes. When does that start? Do you know?
Let me see. Hold on, I got the bracket here.
While you're doing that real quick, the Nuggets won 4-1 over the Lakers. The T-Wolves won 4 over the Suns. As I talked about a week ago, this is no surprise to me going back to August. The Suns were terrible. I think the Timberwolves are really, really, really good. I think they had a lot to do with winning 4-0. But Kevin Durant is going to go down as a dude that had to go rent 2 championships from Golden State. That's what he did. He leased 2, and he's done nothing on his own. And there's no argument against that because it's true. He did nothing. He had to leave the Oklahoma City where he had a chance to win, go to Golden State. This is not news. He then decided, well, I'm going to go put a team on my back and went to the Brooklyn Nets. Terrible. And now the failed experiment with the Phoenix Suns. Come on, dude. He's a top 25 player of all time, but he's one of the least clutch players in the history of the NBA. And don't tell me about his freaking finals MVPs when he would. Dude, if he didn't have Steph and Draymond and whoever else, who's the guy? Who's our shooter?
Clay.
Clay. He didn't have Clay Thompson. He wouldn't be. Come on, man. He can't carry a team. Please, I know he's a Texas Longhorn. This isn't even Texas Longhorn hate on the Boomer Bevo podcast. This is specifically Kevin Durant hate, and he doesn't have it, dude. He doesn't have it. One of the most dynamic players ever. One of the most dynamic players ever.
Honestly, I think, you said top 25. I think he's closer to 15. He's just been that good.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
As an individual player. The story of his career, it's going to be so interesting.
The story of his career has been a little bitch. That's
I wouldn't go.
I just said it. I spelled it out for the kids listening.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
Yeah,
but
it is my opinion.
His career is very interesting, right? We said, in my opinion, one of the top 15 players of all time.
Possibly.
But, he's just always a guy who was just always kind of searching for something different, right? Him leaving OKC, I understand him wanting to get out of OKC at that time. I get it. Going to the Warriors was very interesting. Obviously, it worked out for him. But I think he realized, it seems like once he realized that it was Steph's team, right? It seemed like he wanted to. I question him more for leaving Golden State than I do.
It was always Steph's team.
I know.
It was never his team, dude. Come on.
I question him leaving Golden State more than I do OKC.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I understand the OKC thing.
He wins 5 titles if he's at Golden State.
Yeah.
He's part of the greatest dynasty in the history of the game, possibly, at Golden State, if he stays.
Possibly. Yeah. That's what I can't make sense of, to go to Brooklyn and to hit, but Kyrie and James Harden.
I've slept since 2019 and 20 and 21 and all this, but Golden State has won a title without him, correct? Before and after.
They kind of stole that one in 22.
Right. Okay. This is what I'm saying. They didn't need KD to win titles. That's my point.
It made it a lot easier.
He needed them, but they won 2. They won 2 without him and 2 in the middle.
They won 1 without him.
I thought they won 1 before him.
They won 1 before him. Yeah.
And then 1 after him.
1 after him, yeah.
So they won 2 without him and then 2 with him in the middle. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He needed them a whole heck of a lot more than they needed him. That's what I'm saying.
No, I mean, he was the best player on those teams. But again, I can't. The decision for him to leave Golden State,
real quick,
is
I
just
agree with you. First of all, you're right. It is mind blowing. You're going to look back at careers. Is he better than Steph Curry? I do not
I
think
don't
Kevin
think
Durant
so.
is a better basketball player than Steph Curry.
I don't
Maybe
think so.
you're saying on those teams for
Yeah,
those 2
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Okay,
Right.
but we agree that Steph Curry is a better
No, Steph's had a better
basketball player.
career. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making
Yes.
sure. Want to make
Mhm.
point of
Yeah.
order.
And
Go
then
ahead.
Steph,
Bad decision. Go
everything
to
I hear
Brooklyn.
is such a good teammate too, right? You don't hear a bad thing about him as a guy. Just listen, he could have got Clay and Draymond.
The most annoying thing about Steph Curry is he chews his freaking mouth guard when he shoots free
Mouthpiece.
throws. That's it. If that's the worst thing you can say about a dude, like I don't even
Think
know what
about
to.
this guy. He could have got Draymond up out of there years ago for all his antics. All he has to do is let the GM know, hey man, I don't think this thing's gonna work out with Draymond. Draymond would have been gone.
Yeah, no, he's
If
a
he
good
goes
guy.
to the GM and says, hey man, Clay, I don't think he has it anymore. Clay's gone.
Yeah,
He
which
just
he's
hasn't done it.
truth
Which
be,
is
he
very
probably
rare.
held on a couple 2 years too long.
Maybe
Truth be
so.
told. Truth be
Maybe
told.
so. Yeah. But he's got the 4 titles.
This isn't a Steph Curry discussion, but since we're here, has SGA secured that starting guard spot over Steph Curry for years to come in the All-Star game? Has the torch been passed?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. Now, they can both start, but yeah, it's Shay's time, man. The word is out. Real fans know. First team All NBA again this year. I'm sure it's coming.
No Steph, no LeBron, no KD left in the playoffs. Does that disappoint you?
Yes and no, right? It's always bittersweet to see eras kind of turn, right? It's nice to celebrate the new guys, but it's kind of sad to see guys you've watched for so long kind of start taking a back seat, and that's what we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
We grew up in the Jordan era. We saw that with Jordan. We saw it with Duncan. Guys get a little older, and so it's part of life. It's part of the game. So it's bittersweet. I love the new guys. I think we both love Anthony Edwards. We love SGA, obviously, right? So the league is in very good hands with these young guys.
How about these two players? And probably the most exciting series going on right now. Real quick, Celtics lead the Heat 3-1. They play tonight. Pacers lead the Bucks 3-2. They play tomorrow. Cleveland up 3-2. They play Friday. However, the most exciting matchup has to be Knicks Sixers. This thing has it all.
Oh man, that was so much fun last night.
It has it all,
so much
right?
fun.
It's crazy.
Everything you need. Yeah, everything you want in a playoff series. Right? You got 2 regional rivals. You've got great players. You've got the whole Embiid thing. It's great.
It's so good. So my question for you is, who is the better player? Tyrese Maxey or Jalen Brunson?
Oh man. That's a really good question, right?
Isn't that fascinating that's the question? It's not Embiid.
Brunson.
It's Jalen Brunson or Tyrese Maxey. Those
Have you
guys
ever
are
seen
killing
a
it right now.
more unlikely superstar than Brunson?
He's
He was a good player at Villanova. He was good, and you're looking at him 6 feet, not dynamic not a dynamic athlete like Allen Iverson was. This guy just willed himself into being a superstar in the NBA. It doesn't make sense, man.
He's averaging 22.3 points per game, 7.8 assists per game, shooting 30% from three. Tyrese Maxey, who all he did was take a team with 27 seconds left down by 6, according to ESPN win probability, had a 0.7, not 7%, a 0.7% chance of winning the game down 6 with 27 seconds to go. And all he did was score, or down 7. I'm sorry, down 7. Or down, no, he was down 6.
No, they were down 6, yeah.
They were down 6. They made a free throw. All he did was score 7 points in 26 seconds.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, man.
He's averaging 26, 6, and 4 rebounds. I don't know, man. I am fascinated by this series. It has been so much fun to watch. And these two dudes, they're playing out of their minds. Out of their minds.
Yeah, and it's just great to see guys like this who didn't come into the league as, the number 1 pick, right? We didn't expect greatness out of either one of those guys like we have for somebody like Embiid, right? We saw Embiid's talented, and we expected him to be a great player. Maxey, he never had a chance behind Harden the last few years, but every time he was out there, he always made a big impact. So it's been great to see him really elevate his game this year and become a star, right? He made the All-Star team for the first time this year. Looks like it's going to be the first of many. than Brunson, right? Dallas didn't really offer him a great contract, comes to New York and, becomes a star, right? Becomes a big time fan favorite and the biggest media market in the league. So yeah, it's been great. This series, man.
Knicks are winning 3-2. Game 6 is tomorrow. Do you have you got a prediction?
Man, I think it goes 7. I think the
I
Sixers
hope so.
get this one. Yeah, maybe a little bit of wishful thinking. Listen, there's gonna be a lot of nervous people in New York if Philly wins that game 6, because the last thing they want is a game 7 with everything on the line in the series that they were leading 3-1.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. But everybody in the sports world wants a game 7. Like, I want a game 7 so bad. Listen, it's this time of year. It's NBA and ML and not MLB and NHL. Well, MLB is pretty good too. But this time of year, hockey and basketball, the two best words in sports right now are game 7. Like,
For sure.
Oh, I love it, dude. It's the intensity level. We already talked about this. It's the difference between regular season and playoff basketball is night and day. It's not even the same thing. Dude, the difference between the first 6 games of a series and game 7 is insanity. Like, those dudes, it's like they forget that they're playing for money. I mean that with like respect. It's like they realize, dude, we are playing ball to play ball right here, game 7, and I freaking love it. I'm here for it, man.
Everything's on the line. You see every player on the court give their best. It's great to see.
Speaking of dudes playing for money, and this is what we'll close with, Kevin. I did not want to lead with this because the news was too good for the University of Texas. It was actually almost unbelievable that the University of Texas had 11 draft picks in this past week's NFL draft. How does that make you feel that you had 11 draft picks and still lost to the University of Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl last year?
Hey, man, it's easy.
Walk us through that Saturday when you got beat.
Hey, listen, man, it's a rivalry shootout. Those things happen, right? We beat you guys, but you guys had the number 1 pick at quarterback. We beat both of your number 1 picks. Team's coached by Charlie Strong and Tom Herman. Come on, it's how the game goes. I'll take our trajectory over yours if that's where you
want.
I will. I'll take what we got going on over what y'all got going on right now. So listen, man.
That's a bold statement. I don't think it's that bold a statement. You just made the college football playoff. I like our trajectory, but I can't take that away from you. That's a fair statement. 11 draft picks. Real quick, go ahead. Your stage.
We've been talking about this for years. Teams rightfully negatively recruiting against Texas, and the biggest thing to say was, look, they don't develop their players. And guess what? It was true. It was a fact, right? We're bringing in talented guys, and they're not getting better. They're not going to the NFL. Sark gets there his first year. We have 0 players drafted. It's the University of Texas. There's no excuse for having 0 players drafted. But since he's been there, we've seen the development. Started off with 3, 5, now 11. The future is bright. I'm really excited for those guys. They all deserved it. There were a couple guys that I was on the fence. I wasn't sure if they were going to get drafted, right? Jordan Whittington, Ryan Watts, Keelan Robinson, who I wasn't sure was going to get drafted. He got drafted in the 5th round. So I think
real quick, Jordan Whittington, was it? No, it wasn't Jordan Whittington. It was A.D. Mitchell, right? Who just was much maligned going into the draft. His draft stock got destroyed, right?
It did, yeah.
What was it? Over him having ADD. What was the issue?
No, apparently they found out that he had type 1 diabetes, and somehow that has hurt his draft stock. I don't know. And then there's some rumors saying that he wasn't coachable. Again, maybe that's true. I hadn't heard anything, and the sites that I use, the people involved hadn't heard anything either about.
He sure looked coachable at Texas.
Yeah, he had a great year.
If that's what uncoachable looks like, I will take some uncoachable players at Oklahoma because he played great. He played great. I get the diabetes is the type, but the type 1 diabetes is true. That's an accurate statement.
I believe it's true.
That probably affects the NFL draft.
Yeah, I understand. It could affect his mood. I mean, your blood sugar is all over the place. It affects your mood. It's just a chemical reaction to that happening. But and I know he was frustrated. And you lose a lot of money, right? You're going from a late 1st round to a mid 2nd round. It's a lot of money that you lose out on. But hopefully for him, it just motivates him to go out and ball out and show all the other teams what they missed. We've seen players just over the years who come in and get drafted later than they expect, and they end up balling out as a result. So hopefully it's the same for him.
Of the 11 players, who's the one or two players that got the best landing spot in your mind?
Oh, I mean, I think this is so easy. I mean, Xavier Worthy going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you kidding me?
I put that on a tee for you. I put that on a tee for you.
Yeah, you did. It's just, you want to talk about perfect fit. We talked about their receiving core, right? They're just guys are just so unreliable. They have no one that can stretch the field since Tyreek Hill left. Now they can bring that deep over route that they used to run with him back into the offense, right?
Well, they still got Hollywood too, right? On the other side now?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh,
So you got
geez.
speed everywhere. You still got Travis Kelce. Rashee Rice had a pretty good year. We'll see if he would, he's probably going to get suspended for whatever that was he was doing in Dallas, driving 120 miles in his Lamborghini on the highway down there. But yeah, when you get that much speed in the field, it just gives the defense so much to account for. And look, you can't cover over the top on both Hollywood and Xavier Worthy, right? They were able to do that.
You can, but you just give Travis Kelce every open pass down the field, and they just kill you,
right. And
15 yards at a time. Yeah,
they'll take it all day.
Yeah, you can cover them both. Game. Yeah, you can cover them both, but you've got the best tight end in the. Is he the best tight end? He's the best tight end, right?
In the NFL right now? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Is he the best ever? I don't know about that. Just
Gronk was pretty good.
Gronk still.
Tony Gonzalez. Speaking of the Chiefs, Tony Gonzalez was really, really good.
Yeah, he was an unbelievable player.
I like the kid. I like Kittle. I think Kittle's a nice player.
Yeah, Kittle's great.
You
got to give Bob Stoops crap for not offering him, or is it one of those things that he just got to college and became a good player and nobody knew?
Probably that. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's not, he or maybe he said he didn't have any interest in it. I don't know. Maybe, you never know. I think
Kid Norman High School, you just wonder, right? I mean, look, there's been tons of kids from Austin who don't.
Yeah, but it's different in Norman when there's only 2 high schools.
That is true.
You say the Austin area and there's 40 high schools, and they're all really, really, really good, and they're all big, and they're all Texas and all the stuff. There's 2 Norman schools. You'd think you could see the 2 Norman schools and see that you got a pretty good player there, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember him in high school necessarily. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
obviously he was, but I still think he's a really good player now. Your Dallas Cowboys selected the highest picked Sooner, Tyler Guyton. Do you like Jerry Jones going on the offensive line, and do you like the pick?
I do. They definitely needed offensive line. Tyron Smith is gone, which is crazy to say.
Yeah,
but he's gone, so they needed help there at the tackle spot. I like the Tyler Smith kid who they drafted a couple years ago from Tulsa. He's already become one of the best offensive linemen in the league, but they needed more there, and I think Tyler Guyton helps. Now, let me ask you, what was the deal with him this year? Was there some kind of situation with him and the coaching staff that you're hearing about?
Nothing I heard about. I think he's just kind of a weird dude.
Okay.
That was the vibe I heard, was he's just kind of different, but he was really productive. Like, he was a really, really good player. And yeah, I mean, obviously first round pick. So you deal with a lot of that stuff. You deal with weirdness, and it kind of comes out. Obviously it didn't hurt him. If he had some kind of major beat, it didn't hurt him enough that he fell out of the first round,
Yeah.
We'll see. I guess if the Cowboys can select a dysfunctional player, that could be possible, but no, I don't think so. I think he's going to be good. I think the Cowboys, for once, made a smart pick going offensive line. I think Tyler Guyton's as good as there was available at the time. Because, man, they can make some stupid picks too. They can do some dumb stuff.
Yeah, Jerry Jones, sometimes, his sons have to kind of stop him, protect him from himself. This is a guy that was this close to drafting Johnny Manziel.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah.
You think Johnny burned, you think Johnny crashed and burned in Cleveland? Can you imagine Johnny Manziel in Dallas, Texas? Oh my God!
Oh man! It would have been an absolute disaster. Yeah.
Oh, I would have been here for it.
It would have been just beyond a disaster, man.
We've talked about.
I'm glad he's doing good off the field now, because he was really struggling. And we always make fun of players from rival schools, but he was really going through it, man, over the last few years. So it seems to have gotten better for him. So I'm really glad for him.
I thought it was really rich of him to be campaigning for Reggie Bush to get his Heisman back. I thought that was that was irony.
Here's the thing, though. I think part of that, though, he's like, hey, look, man, y'all know what I was doing was worse, and I got my Heisman trophy still.
No, I know that's his argument.
His argument, yeah. It is kind of funny, right? When Johnny Manziel is a voice of reason for Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back.
I've talked about this before, but I always find it weird when there's somebody that you pretty sure you disagree with almost everything on, and then you find yourself agreeing with them on a specific topic, and you're like, I guess I have to respect this. So like Johnny Manziel coming out and saying Reggie Bush should get his trophy back. It's like, I think that too.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I'll give you another example. Caitlyn Jenner, formerly Bruce Jenner. Okay. I got to tell you, never in my million years am I ever thinking I'm agreeing with Caitlyn Jenner on anything ever. Okay. That's just not the crowd I run with. I just can't imagine this is going to be a situation. Caitlyn is an advocate for girls to play girl sports. Right. And it's like, oh, now I agree with Caitlyn Jenner. It's like, oh, I can't stand this.
Man, you just never know, right? We think we have people figured out. You just never know what people are about.
Life is just throwing you curveballs, It's like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Now I agree with this. What is happening? Me, Caitlyn Jenner, and Martina Navratilova are all on the same side.
We're all on the same page.
What a weird world.
Before we wrap up here, we got to talk about a couple other guys drafted. Walter Rouse, to Minnesota, and Jonah Lualu to Indianapolis. Did you expect him to get drafted?
No.
Well, I mean, I think that shows you too, right? Especially when you get into those later rounds, if they see a kid and they see some athletic traits that they like, if they see some kind of, potential there, they'll just go ahead and pick him and let's see what this kid has. Let's see if we can get something out of it, right?
Well, I think it's probably a lot. It's probably a lot of what is happening at Texas now. Okay. Is going to start happening in Oklahoma, where they trust Brent Venables on the defensive side of the ball. And one of these coaches calls up Brent Venables and says, hey, coach, what do you know about this kid? Can he play or not?
Yeah.
And that goes a long way, right? Even at Texas, like you talk about a couple of your guys that snuck in. I could see him going, hey, Sark, Atlanta Falcons coaches that maybe had coached with him, back when he was the OC or whatever, going, hey, Sark, what do you think about this kid? Oh, he's a great kid. I draft him, right? You trust him. Whereas you have like an Alex Grinch level player, playing defense. There ain't nobody from the NFL calling Grinch going, hey, is your guy a good player? Like if he doesn't top on screen, they're not calling for his evaluation because he was terrible at it. So I just think Sark has that reputation, probably particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And then on the defensive side of the ball, it's BV, and they've seen what he produced at Oklahoma, at Clemson, now at Oklahoma again. And they get down to the end and go, man, this kid checks a lot of boxes. He's a good kid. He works hard, fits the measurables. You call up BV and go, hey, man, is he going to be a waste? He go in the 7th round?
Yeah.
Is he going to be a waste of a pick? And BV's like, no, man, he's going to be great. You're going to love him. Yeah. If nothing else, he's going to give you a good, practice squad player or whatever.
Flash for you guys, right? And he just always looked the part.
He did look the part, and you just kept waiting for he'd make a play, and you'd be like, oh, dude, let's go. And then it would be like another 3 quarters before he made another play.
Yeah.
Be like,
yeah, exactly. We'll see if someone can unlock it, right? There's something in there.
Walter Rouse remembered for blocking 2 guys at the same time on the final play of the drive that Dylan Gabriel hit Nick Anderson in the end zone in 2023. That was cool for an Oklahoma fan to see a dude block 2 dudes on the left side of the field. It was a lot of fun. He deserved it. It's when guys like him get drafted, I think it continues to more so than even Tyler Guyton. It just validates Bill Bedenbaugh that he can get these guys
talked about that. I think you've heard me say you guys are always good at the tackle spot. You always have good tackles, and you have these 2 new guys coming in this year.
Did you know we didn't even offer anybody at the tackle position? Did you know that?
Really? No.
In the transfer portal.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So Beanbo must feel pretty good about what he's got at tackles.
Yeah.
They obviously the Branson Hickman kid from SMU at center, and then one of the tackles, or maybe two tackles, but no, I mean guards, interior offensive lineman, but no. So anyway, to your point, he usually is pretty good at identifying those and not making even one offer in the portal. Should that give me OU fans some confidence? I think so.
Well, I mean, you can at least sleep at night knowing you've got that guy as your offensive line coach. I mean, the proof is there.
For me, I love that we kept DeMarco Murray when Riley left to USC. I thought that was like a symbolic keep, right? One of our guys staying. DeMarco Murray staying.
Yeah,
like
he could have gone.
He could have
gone, and I think he would have been great there.
And he would have. Oh, dude, I think he's a very good recruiter. I mean, we'll see. I think he had a rough year last year just with injury, but that's fine. But I think structurally for the offense and continuity and everything that goes along with the trenches of college football, keeping Bill Bedenbaugh was probably more important, right?
Oh yeah, it's not even close.
Symbolically, I think DeMarco Murray made a splash here, I'm saying, and kind of appealed, but saving Bedenbaugh, because I think we all thought he was gone. I think we thought he was gone.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much he had agreed to go, right? He kind of had second thoughts. Now, yeah, because here's the thing: at the end of the day, DeMarco Murray is a Sooner, right? He played here; it's what it is.
Yeah,
right. Bedenbaugh,
I don't even know where Bedenbaugh's from.
Yeah, I don't know where he's from. I don't think he graduated from OU. I could be dead wrong about that, but
no, he didn't graduate from OU.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, he could have gone there and to LA with him staying. Yeah, that was absolutely probably the biggest hire that BB made for his initial staff is keeping him.
He played center at Iowa Wesleyan.
Okay.
And his first job out was Oklahoma Panhandle State as offensive line. Texas Tech under. So he was there. I didn't realize that. I guess I should have known that. I apologize for not knowing that. He's a Leach guy.
Okay.
I guess I did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I didn't
know anything about him until he was at OU.
He's fantastic.
Yeah. So
he's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's not surprising for two of your three guys to be your tackles. Just like it's not surprising for Texas's guys, to have. I mean, obviously Byron Murphy was their first guy, but Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, and Whittington, and Keelan Robinson, Jonathan Brooks being the first running back taken back-to-back years, by the way.
Coming off an injury too.
Yeah, coming off an ACL. Yeah. Yeah. So man, it was great. It's great to see us developing our players again.
You and I texted this, and we're going a little long. So if you're still listening, we sure do appreciate it. Kevin and I just haven't had a chance to catch up as much, so we're going to go for just a second. Kevin, you and I texted about this on during the draft. Your boy Penix going. What did you think about that with them just signing Kirk Cousins, and then they're going with Penix, but he's going to be there with Bijan? You were a huge Penix guy for 2 years. I mean, he was your boy. You love that kid, and rightfully so. If your predictions for him panned out. What's your thoughts about him in the pros? How long does he sit behind Kirk Cousins there in Atlanta?
Okay. I like the fact that he went early because I thought his talent and ability warranted that. It's just a little odd to me, right, that they would pick him right after they paid Kirk Cousins all that money.
How long was the deal on him? How long a deal did they sign?
I think it's 3 years. For Kirk Cousins. And here's the thing though, right? Like Kirk Cousins was upset that nobody, called him and told him.
These pro players.
I don't care about that.
I don't care about that.
He's not Aaron Rodgers, right? No. If I had Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback and I was going to draft Jordan Love, I would tell Aaron Rodgers personally.
Yeah.
Right. But
Tom Brady should have known about
Garoppolo. That they're going to draft Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes, those are about the two that are maybe Mahomes now at this point. Is
correct.
Right.
Yeah, if you're going to draft some guys, But here's the thing, though. He hasn't earned any goodwill with the fan base yet, Kirk Cousins. So what happens if he has a bad game and the fans start, chanting Michael Penix? It's going to be a lot of pressure on them if he has a bad game, or throws an interception. And then, Kirk Cousins is older. Their skill guys are all young. Right?
So
Bijan,
you
Drake
think kind
London,
of like a
Kyle Pitts. They might,
relatability? Is
Penix
that what you're
might
saying?
become their guy. So it could end up being something that splits the locker room. So they're just going to have to be adamant that Penix is not playing. I mean, they're going to have to be they're going to have to stash him away like they did Mahomes with Alex Smith. But again, Alex Smith had been there. That's the difference, though. Alex Smith had been in Kansas City for 4 or 5 years before they drafted Mahomes. So he had already built up some trust and things with the fan base that Kirk Cousins does not have with the fans of Atlanta. And it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's a black quarterback in Atlanta.
That's not that crazy, though, right? I mean, they've had African-American
quarterbacks. No. I'm saying the fans are going to
watch. Oh, you're saying. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying I want to see a black quarterback in Atlanta. Because we're in Atlanta.
Because we're in Atlanta. Yeah.
And not only is Kirk Cousins white, but he might be the whitest quarterback in the league.
Yeah, exactly. They're different levels.
In addition to him being white, he is the whitest quarterback in the league. I think while we're talking about race, we should end it. Because as everybody knows who listens to Bevo Podcast, there's a good chance John will say something stupid. Kevin, we went a little long. I don't care, man. I had a lot of fun tonight. This was great. Everybody out there listening, we had great response on episode 111. Thank you so much for listening. Keep liking, sharing. We're just going to keep putting some content out once a week until we get close to the football season, and then we'll power it in. But Kevin and I are just having fun talking sports, and we appreciate y'all being along for the journey.
If you're new, once football season starts, man, we go crazy. Twice a week, we do a preview on each Texas game, each OU game. Then we do a recap of each Texas and OU game. So we're in the middle of the week, and then Sunday morning, we're out recapping. So, man, once football season rolls around, it's really going to start going down here. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and Kevin and I can go like this all day. This is not we will hang up on this call, on this podcast, and we will still have 30 more minutes of stuff that we didn't talk about on the show. But that's all right. Kevin, have a great night.
Took him.